Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So we're just going to jump right into making this cake. So to start off, I made a batch of my American buttercream. You can find the full recipe to this on my YouTube channel. I'll link it down below. I'm using an 8-inch chocolate cake that I'm filling with this American buttercream. Like most of my cakes, I'm using 3 layers of cake. I'm leveling it with a knife just because I don't have my cake leveler on me. But ideally you'd be using either a long serrated knife or a cake level. I'm just stacking and filling my chocolate cake with this American buttercream. And then I'm going around and smoothing the edges just to make sure that the buttercream isn't sticking out, and then I'm going to pop this into the fridge till it firms up. I had laid down this plastic wrap on the counter and just so I can easily clean up the crumbs from the cake. So I cleaned up my area, and then once my cake was firm, I'm adding on my crumb coat now. So it's just the same buttercream that I filled the cake with. I'm doing a thin layer all over the cake and then smoothing that out. And then I'm going to pop that back into the fridge till it firms up. And you know your cake is firm when you touch it and no buttercream sticks to your finger. Now once it's firmed up, you're going to add on a second coat of buttercream. And for this coat, I'm adding buttercream to the top and to the sides of the cake, just like with the crumb coat. Once you have the second coat of buttercream smooth, you're going to pop that into the fridge till it firms up again. And in the meantime, we're going to work on our board. So I'm just showing you guys how I cover my cake boards. I've gotten a few questions on this. So all I do is just run some glue along the edges of the cake board. You don't really need to glue the center of it. I lay my cardstock on it, and this is a thick cardstock and somehow it's grease proof. Just on its own, it's grease proof. So I just glue my cardstock onto my cake board, trim the excess, and then I like to layer up the cake boards. This gives the board more support. I usually do 3 cake boards, and for this one, the third cake board, instead of doing a 10-inch, I did an 8-inch, and this just makes it easier to lift the board once the cake is on it. To stick the cake down to the board, I just added a thin layer of buttercream, and now I'm loosening the cake from its current board and switching it over to the new board. Now I'm going to pop that into the fridge so I can work on whitening our final layer of buttercream. So I just added in a little bit of Wilton white food coloring. This is going to really brighten up our buttercream. And then you're going to give your cake its final coat. So for this final coat, I'm not going to add any buttercream to the top. And this is going to help give me a sharper edge. Once you have a bit of buildup on the top edge, you want to just smooth that down. And then this will also help give you that sharper edge. So I went over to my sink and ran my bench scraper under hot water, and this really helps smooth out your buttercream. Once you have the final coat of buttercream on it, pop it back into the fridge, and then we're going to work on the colors for our unicorn mane. So I made a violet color by mixing pink and blue. And then for the second shade, I just used pink. And the third shade was a mixture of mint green and sky blue. Once you have all your colors mixed, you're going to fit your piping bag with this large star tip and then just start adding in your colors. There's no particular order or way to do this. And then just start piping onto your cake. So for this one, it was pretty simple because I just used the one piping tip, and I just made stars and rosettes all around the cake. And after I had finished all the buttercream that was in this bag, I wanted to add a little more pink to it, so I filled up the same bag with pink food coloring. And you can see that the pink has some stripes in it too of different colors. That's because I hadn't washed out the bag because I wanted it to look a little blended, if you will. I wanted it to just match. Now for our unicorn horn, I have white fondant that I added CMC powder to, and this is going to help dry up the fondant faster. Now you just want to roll a long log of fondant, but you want one end to be a little bit thinner than the other. Well, actually you want it to be a lot thinner than the other. And I'll show you guys the comparison of both ends right now. But just roll it until it's long and one side's thin and one side is thick. And try to get it as smooth as you can. You don't want it to be too bumpy or lumpy. I have a skewer here, and this is what we're going to wrap this fondant on. So I trimmed it down because I didn't need that much fondant, and I just started rolling the fondant around the stick. I know I was out of frame, but you're just going to roll it till you get to the top, and then just kind of mess with it, shape it until you're happy with the size. Now once you're done with the horn, you're going to roll out some white fondant for the ears, cut it with a heart cookie cutter, and then roll out some pink fondant and cut it with a smaller heart cookie cutter. So the second heart cookie cutter is just a tiny bit smaller than the first one. And now you're just going to layer these pieces of fondant onto each other. So I'm adding on some water to my white fondant, layering on the pink, doing the same thing for both of them. Now to turn it into an actual ear, you're just going to add on a little water to the tips, pinch the tips together, and then stick your toothpick down the center. When you add in the toothpick, just make sure you're not adding it too far up or else it'll poke through the pink. So you want to keep the toothpick just on the white part of the fondant. Now put your unicorn horn and the unicorn ears to the side so that they can firm up. Now for the silver detailing on this, I was all out of silver luster dust, and with everything that's going on right now, I didn't want to have to order some. So I had seen the silver luster dust at Walmart, and I figured I would just give it a try for this cake. And actually it didn't work too bad. It wasn't as pigmented as I would have liked it, but after a few coats it worked fine. For the unicorn eyes, you're just going to draw a little arch and then kind of wing it out at the end to give it some lashes. And for the unicorn horn, this was just one coat of that silver, and then this was 3 coats of it. So I had to just let it dry in between coats for a few hours, but eventually it looked fine. I'm using a pair of scissors to stick the horn into the cake, just because the buttercream is firm, so it can be a little tough. And then I'm going in with some leftover buttercream to just cover up the bottom of the unicorn horn. Now you just want to add on your ears. Make sure to not press too hard or you can tear your ear with the toothpick, like I did here. But I went back in and I covered that up. And this is the complete unicorn cake. So thank you guys so much for watching. Again, my American buttercream recipe is on my channel, and I will see you guys next time.